Okay, this is Mabyn with the second drill. And so a lot of this stuff, reading this through this, yes. So the brake arm is kind of like a throttle. If yeah, it will work. Like you said, she read it perfectly and all that. Yes, it will work. It's also part. If you think about it, it's kind of like halfway to using a throttle arm, which is why it works. And I would consider this. Remember on the last video, the last better video had a good angle of that going jump to the tunnel. Um, so if you haven't, if this is the first one you're watching, watch your other video first. And I kind of show it, and your camera set up at a better angle to really highlight that fact that the two tunnel entrances are different, and the only thing you use otherwise is because your physical cues are the same. The only thing you're using is your verbal, which she doesn't really react to that well, which is why you struggled last time. All right, so I would give her that in cue, or I believe you say here, or in this case you don't give a verbal cue, but you bring up the other arm. So I would even pump the arm a little bit, and the reason is this: like, so the other angle is a little bit better, but we can still get this through here. So from her perspective, think of this: she needs to know where she's going before she takes the purple jump. She needs to know where she's going to land before she takes off, right? I think that makes sense. She can't change her landing spot while she's in air. Once she takes off, she is going to land where she's going to land. So she needs to know before she takes off so she can adjust accordingly. So we have to tell her, and her two paths are wrapping the wing and then going into that tunnel versus just a long slow sweep to that tunnel, right? And they're different. So this would be considered a throttle rear. So because you are back here, so that makes it a throttle rear into the tunnel. And so that's why I would use the offside arm, and I would pump it up and down, and I would say in, or you say here, or something along that lines, or here, whatever. But that tells her before she takes this jump that she's going to be doing a throttle rear, meaning coming back to you and taking that side of the tunnel, not the obvious side. If we're going to send her to the obvious side, we would be using dog side, hand, and foot. So we would use, in this case, your right hand and your right toe and send a clear, strong send. If you want her to wrap this, then I would use the other arm. In the last video, I think you could see it really clearly that physically you are not doing anything different last time you did these drills, and she struggled with it, and again, because her verbals aren't quite up to snuff yet. So I believe the solution here is one, yes, I would use the offside arm when we want this tunnel throttle, which is what I would call this, because you're pulling her back across your body to go into that far yellow entrance. So tunnel throttle with your hand motion, and also verbal. So with your go-ons, I do agree with this. I like that you recognize this already, that to give a more distinct look to her and be able to really to work on training this, you're starting back further on that go-on, which I completely agree with. It's going to be more challenging for her to do that because she's going to get in front of you and then want to turn into you. But that's kind of what we need here. That's what we're working on with training, and we want to work on both her verbal and the fact that even if she's in front of you, if you are charging straight forward, she should continue to charge straight forward herself, even whether she's in front of you or behind you. And the natural instinct for the dog is to turn into you once they get in front of you. If you are ahead of them, which is what you were doing last time, then yeah, they're going to just keep running that jump line. That's super easy for them, but not super helpful from a training perspective, because sometimes they are going to be in front of you, and sometimes we want them to keep going on that line. And that's what this drill is all about. And I think you do a really nice job. And so I think we just solved all that. And no, I would not use the switch. I would use the tunnel threadle cue. Here, 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 or here, whatever you use, or in is another common one. I would use that, and I would pump the arm like you just did, because that's what that means. When you use the tunnel rear cross threadle cue, when you use a threadle cue, when you say in, or here, 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 you do not need to say switch. The reason is because that's what that one verbal means. The verbal here, and when you pump your far arm, your offside hand, Linda called it the brake hand. When you pump that and you give that cue, that's exactly what it means. It means come back towards me and then take that next obstacle. In this case, that yellow entrance to the tunnel. So you do not need to say switch, the rear cross. The rear cross switch cue means go find the next most obvious obstacle and then turn away from me. So that's a great question you asked. I just don't think you need it. It's redundant with that. It wouldn't really hurt if you gave it, but I just wouldn't. Great job on this, and great job of really identifying and working on a lot of this stuff yourself. Good job.